Two big signs you are going to be house poor. This is something many home buyers worry about, but they never actually do the steps to make sure they're not going to be house poor. So if you're new to the channel, I've been a mortgage lender for close to 20 years. Fun fact, the reason I became a lender is because I was house poor. True story. We had bought a house. At the time, I wasn't on the loan. I had terrible credit. The lender had said we were qualified, we approved, we could buy this house. We bought the house. I remember getting the payment and almost dropping my baby on the ground. It was a shocker. So today we're going to talk about what to avoid and what those signs are so that you don't end up in that same position. Number one, you are home shopping right now and you have no idea what the monthly payment's going to be. This is really common. So a lot of times people start shopping, maybe they've talked to a lender, maybe they haven't. Sometimes you may have even talked to a lender and they gave you a pre-approval letter, but you never asked about the payment and they never told you. So if you have a pre-approval letter, you're thinking, oh, I'm approved for $500,000. The lender said I can afford this, I can afford this. You need to ask what the monthly payment's going to be. And then guys, you need to estimate higher. So for example, if a lender has on your pre-approval letter, I'm making up numbers right now, 6.25, if I was doing my numbers now based off of what I know, when I was calculating out the monthly payment, I would be doing 6.75. Just in case rates are higher when I get into contract. And the reason I say that is there's so much volatility right now with the Iran war, with inflation, as well as jobs, that the market's a little bit like this, okay? So when you're figuring out if you can afford the house, do worst case scenario numbers. Beyond the principal and interest, you also need to consider the property taxes and homeowners insurance. I actually recommend to my clients that before they write an offer on a house, that they actually get a homeowner's insurance quote from a homeowner's insurance agent. A lot of people assume, oh, well, the lender had it at $50. Lenders are not insurance agents. We don't sell insurance as well. I don't sell insurance. So if I have $200 estimated in your payment, I'm guessing based off of what I've seen. However, every single house is different. And depending on where you are in the country, a roof that's 30 years old versus 5 years old, you could see thousands of dollars of difference per year in your homeowner's insurance, okay? So before you write an offer on the house, no matter where you are in the country, get a homeowner's insurance quote because you want to put that in your payment. Property taxes. Property taxes go up. Let's just be real about this. I have yet to see anyone's property tax bill go down unless they're a veteran that's 100% exempt from taxes, okay? Your property taxes will go up. And if you're like, well, isn't the lender estimating that? It depends. So like certain states, there's a calculation that we do to estimate. It's still not perfect because the lenders, the loan officer, we're not the one that set the property taxes. That's done by the county property tax assessor. There's certain states where they may not increase the property taxes for a year, but it's not based off of your purchase price. It's based off of what they assess the property at. So it's important as a home buyer, if you want to make sure you're really drilled in on that payment, you're paying attention to what the county property tax assessor charges, the percentage, when they reassess, as well as certain parts of the country, you have city or town, they call it millage, but it's basically more taxes. So you could look at the county and go, oh, the county tax rate's 1%, cool. But guess what? You're buying in a city or town where they charge 1% too. So really your overall property taxes are 2%. Check out the county property tax assessor. Be empowered, know how it works. Okay. What's another sign you're going to be house poor? You don't know what your debt to income is. Debt to income is a number you need to know because there's certain debt to incomes where it's a red flag. Anything over 50%, I'm always going to be having a conversation with the client, myself or someone on the team, where we're saying, hey, your debt to income's really high. Have you budgeted this out? Okay. Now, the way a lender calculates your debt to income is important for you to know as well. We are only looking at the housing payment and then the minimum payments on your credit report. For most loans, that's it. So we're not looking at your bank statements and analyzing your spending and going, oh, they can't do this, or oh, they can do this. No, we're not projecting how much your electricity is going to be, your Wi-Fi. We're not doing any of that, guys. The only loan that has something even similar to that is VA. But every other loan, the lender is looking at the projected housing payment as well as your minimum monthly payments. Yeah. So when we're calculating your debt to income, we use your pre-tax. So before they take out Social Security, before they take out healthcare, yeah, you gave us your pay stubs, but we're going off the big number. This isn't just us. This is lender guidelines. So we're going to look at that big number, and then we look at the monthly payment and the minimum payments, and that's how we come up with your debt to income. The reason why I say anything over 50 is like red flag city is because unless you have additional income that either we can't use because it doesn't meet guidelines, or perhaps you're married, but that person's not on the loan, so we're not using their salary. If it's really all of your income and you are over 50%, it will be a struggle. You just have to recognize that. And in some states, the struggle will be worse. And the reason I say that is when we look at debt to income, remember, we're just going off the big number. Lender guidelines are not state specific. So it's not like a lender would say, oh, you're in California, I can only go up to a debt to income of 46% because of California state income tax. And they're not going, oh, well, you're in Florida, so I can go up to 55 because there's none. The guideline's the same across the country, regardless of the state income tax. And in some states, the income taxes have been increasing so much, that's a big player. The other thing that lenders are not taking into consideration when they're calculating your debt to income, with the one exception being VA, daycare. That's right. If you've got kids in daycare, you know how expensive it is. And you would assume that since you're giving the lender your bank statement, since they have all this information, that of course they're going to include your child care. Of course they're going to be looking at your net income. No. And that's the thing, because when you start really thinking about it, you're like, oh, why don't they do this? Lenders follow the guidelines. Simple. If the guideline is that we look at your gross income, that we look at these debts, that we are not looking at daycare, then that is what we do. Period. That's for the big loans. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, we follow their guidelines. Now, if you're doing a jumbo loan, the lender may have specific rules. If you're doing a portfolio, maybe a credit union, some sort of special financing, there may be different rules. But generally, that is how a lender in America is coming up with your debt to income. And that's why it's so critical to ask them, hey, what debt to income did you come up with? Because once again, guys, if you're at even 40%, but you have $2,000 a month with daycare, as a lender, am I going to look at that? Only if it's a VA mortgage. But as someone who's been house poor, would I recommend to you that you calculate that in? Yeah, you can't, like, how are you going to get rid of childcare, right? It is a set cost. It's like housing. And unfortunately, there's many parts of the country where it is so unaffordable. It is astounding. Okay, finally, what can you do to avoid being house poor? Because that's the thing, like, we can put all these precautions in place. You can make sure you know your monthly payment. You can make sure you know your debt to income, but both of these are useless without a budget. That's right. I said the B word. America hates to budget. Look, I've got some clients that are budgeting kings and queens, but we see a lot. It's interesting. I've noticed the younger generation, our Gen Z, budgets way better than Gen X. Like Gen X is like, I survived. Like, I have survived the last 20 years. I'm not budgeting. Trust, I was that person. I don't think I had a budget until maybe 15 years ago, right? Like the Gen Z though, they're on it. And I'm telling you right now, I think the reason they're so on it is because they understand technology. It's so easy to do a budget now, everybody. I don't care if you're 85 or 15, you can do a budget. Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, ask any of them, say, hey, I want to set up a household budget. Can you please help me? Done. Personally, I like the app Monarch. I love it because I like getting notified anytime anyone in my house spends money. Not because I'm like, but because I want to know. Also, I want to stop fraud. There's so many fraudulent charges that happen and people don't even recognize it because they're not paying attention to their statements. So do a budget, because I'm going to tell you this, and this is going to shock you. We had a client about a year ago and their debt to income was really low. It was 20%. I was like, okay, like they should have no problem affording this. But remember, we don't analyze bank statements. And I gave them the payment and they're like, oh, we could never afford that. And I'm like, what's going on? You know, because in the past I've had clients like that. There was like a gambling addiction or something. Like, no, it was subscriptions. It was, they literally subscribed to everything, every single TV channel, you know, every single sports, every single, like if you could subscribe, click, they did. And so the reason we were able to figure out they couldn't afford that, they went through all their bank statements and I said, look guys, like on my side, you can afford this, but you're telling me you can't. Go through, do a budget, see what you're willing to cut. They weren't willing to cut anything. So we decreased their pre-approval to where they're comfortable, okay? A budget is key. Debt to income and the payment are clues, but the budget is a key. So I hope this video is helpful. If you want to work with a lending team that makes sure, like, look, we tell you your debt to income. We go through the payments. We fully underwrite your pre-approval up front. We do all of this. I put together this entire process. I call it the zero stress mortgage experience because of what I went through when I was younger. I never want it to happen to you guys. I want you to buy a house educated and empowered so that a house is a benefit and not a burden. So if you want to work with myself and my team, give us a call, 786-933-207. Otherwise, I hope this video helped you. If I can help anyone avoid being house poor, sign me up. Thanks for watching.